Canada's foremost NFL expert, Jim Lang, joins us, the cover of 5 Super Bowls, Sportsnet insider for years and years and years on the National Football League. How you doing, Jimbo?
I am great, Rod. How are you, my friend?
Well, as you can see, it doesn't get a whole lot better than this. And honestly, I was sitting in a suite yesterday with Gil Scott. You know Gil very well at Hard Rock Stadium, watching the Colts. Yes, watching the Colts-Dolphins game going, this is the biggest of the big. It didn't get much better than this, other than a very mucky first half. But that's not what we brought you on to talk about, the Colts and the Dolphins. That was the snoozer of the day. Man, coming out of Sunday of week 4, Jim, what were your takeaways here yesterday? Well, what a buffet.
Well, my first takeaway, because of your ties to the Dallas Cowboys, is how good Dak and Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys offense and the Cowboys team has looked the last few weeks. This is what a healthy Dak Prescott is capable of. People tend to forget that before he got hurt last year, he was on an incredible pace putting up numbers, and we're seeing the same now. And their differential from points for and points against could be better. But my goodness, offensively, the Dallas Cowboys look fantastic. I knew Kyler Murray and the Cardinals were good before the start of the season, and I really like former CFLer Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach. I didn't think they would be this good against the Rams on the road in LA. Quite frankly, I thought LA was going to win the game, a close game, an exciting game. But the way Kyler Murray and the Cardinals played, it wasn't close. And the Cardinals took it to the Rams. And you could see Jalen Ramsey and a lot of the Rams players upset on the sideline. But let's give some credit to the game plan of Cliff Kingsbury. Kyler Murray, the way he has played, J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, that defense, it's a total package in Arizona. And, Moose was saying in my top 5, right now, number 1 in the NFL is the Arizona Cardinals. The way they played, who they beat, and to go in LA and beat the Rams the way they did, I've been so impressed by them. And I have to say, I've seen the Buffalo Bills play some decent defense before, but 2 shutouts in their past 3 games. And I know they played Houston yesterday, but shutting out a team in the NFL is very difficult. And you got to go to Buffalo now. The deeper into the year goes, the colder the weather gets, the nastier the weather gets against that defense. Good luck to you.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers go into New England and win 19-17 on the suck-up field goal at the end of the game. Was that just right, that score, Jim? It wasn't a blowout either way. It was a rainy night in Foxborough that Tom knows all too well. Did that game play out kind of the way you thought that it would?
That's a great way to put it, right? Yes, it did. Tom, whatever he's going to say, was a little rattled going into the game, and I didn't think he played a typical Tom Brady game. He seemed off with a lot of his throws and some of his reads, so I think nerves and anxiety was a factor, even for a guy like Tom Brady. And you had to know that Bill Belichick, who cut his teeth as one of the great defensive coordinators the NFL's ever seen, was going to throw the kitchen sink at Brady just to keep it close. I don't think Belichick minded losing, but he didn't want it to be a 40-10 blowout with Brady dancing around 5 touchdowns. That he humbled Brady a little bit, and that it was a close game. So because Belichick is no dum-dum, he knows the Patriots are work in progress. He's got a rookie quarterback who's showing some promise. But defensively, because of Bill Belichick and who he is, he kept it close enough to keep it respectable for the Patriots. That was a big thing. I look at what the Steelers, how they played against Green Bay was not respectable at all for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but at least for the Patriots, they could hold their head high walking away from that game last night in New England.
For our viewers, Jim Lang with us. Get our questions in on YouTube. You can text them as well, 306-840-8777. Someone had asked earlier for your thoughts on Justin Fields. Looked sharp in the Bears' win over the Lions at Soldier Field. I believe it was 24-14. What's your take on this kid out of OSU?
Well, I think he's got fantastic talent. And part of it goes, the week before, Matt Nagy and the coaching staff, I don't know where they got the game plan for a rookie. So inexperienced. They put a game plan in there that Aaron Rodgers may struggle to execute. So you have to cater the game plan sometimes to the talent of the quarterback. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, when Russell Wilson was a rookie, tailored the game plan to emphasize his strengths and sort of shy away from his potential weaknesses and trouble spots. And then as he got more experience, they gave him a bigger playbook. So Chicago, and I'll give Matt Nagy credit because he takes a ton of heat in Chicago. He learned from the debacle the week before and put Justin Fields in a position to win, and it showed. These young quarterbacks, they need that confidence. The confidence of a young quarterback can get rattled awfully quickly in the NFL. People forget that Troy Aikman, as great as he was 1-15 his first season as a starter in the NFL. 1-15. And he got beat up a lot. But they started to build a team and a game plan with Jimmy Johnson and Norv Turner and the coaching staff to maximize the strengths of Troy Aikman and make him the quarterback that he was. And that's the big challenge for all coaches in the NFL is, look, my quarterback can do this, but he can't do that. So let's put plays in that help him, not hurt him.
A preview, please, of what could be the game of the week if we forgot about the Patriots and Bucks, and that's Monday Night Football tonight. Your Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Chargers. What a slobber knocker this one's going to be.
Yeah, a real slobber knocker. And I think a battle with two great quarterbacks. And I think of young quarterbacks who've made a real jump from year to year. And it's Justin Herbert of the Chargers. I mean, I'm a big fan of his. I really like all of a sudden the relationship between Derek Carr and John Gruden. At first, I wasn't sure how cohesive it is. Now I think they're really on the same page as coach and quarterback. They understand each other. They've got a system, an offensive system, a playbook that really works. With Waller, they've got a fantastic tight end. And the Raiders have a defense that no one talks about that is going to be the big deciding factor in this game is how Herbert, if he can make plays down the field vertically against that Raiders defense. And then the Raiders defense, and they can get after the quarterback. So for the Chargers, can they protect Herbert and make plays? And it's going to be one of those last team of the ball wins kind of games. So it's fun for football fans. It really is.
From Ryan McCarthy watching in New York State. Question for Jim. Is C.J. Mosley a strong candidate for not just comeback player of the year, but also NFL defensive player of the year? Can you explain why he would ask that?
Well, because he's been lights out. He was the best defensive player in week 4 of the National Football League. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the reason the Jets won that game is that Mosley played like a man possessed. This is the kind of linebacker play that Luke Kuechly had before he got hurt. And, if you're a Jets fan, seeing what Wilson did yesterday, that's a promising sign. That's okay. This is what he can be capable of if he has help around him. But defensively, if you're a Jets fan, you look at Mosley and that's a player you can build a defense around. Get him some real big studs on the D line and keep offensive line away from him, and just let him go sideline to sideline. That's a linebacker, and that's a defensive player NFL fans are going to hear a lot more of. And I don't think they have yet because the Jets have struggled, and you quickly dismiss any skilled players on a team. But Mosley is definitely starting to emerge as one of the better linebackers in the AFC, or quite frankly, the NFL. And especially if he puts up numbers like he did this past week. I mean, he was a tackling machine.
Canada's foremost NFL expert, Jim Lang, with us. It's such a buffet coming out of each week and going into each week. I don't know how you can condense them to 10 points in the column at rodpeterson.com, but I really appreciate you writing that column, Jim. I know how much you enjoyed, and our readers too. Here's a fun one to end it, which I'm asking all our guests today. I think it's fun. Jaguars coach Urban Meyer apologized today to his family, his team, and owner Sad Khan for being a distraction after a video surfaced over the weekend showing a young woman dancing close to his lap. It was in a bar in Columbus. Meyer called a team meeting today and vowed to own it, the motto he uses daily and is plastered all around the Jaguars facility. I know you're just dying to talk about this. Let me just say, my question is, does Urban Meyer finish this first contract in Jacksonville? Because A, he gets fired because the team's terrible, or he quits to go to USC or some other big school, or stuff like this. What is it about Urban Meyer that he just attracts controversy?
He won't finish the contract. I think he finishes the year. Here's the problem. Where you're Urban Meyer and you're the head coach of a top 2 or 3 ranked NCAA team, it's like a benevolent dictatorship in that college town. Nick Saban in Alabama could walk around in his underwear all day and no one would say a word because he's Nick Saban. He's the head coach of Alabama. And it's different in the National Football League. So Urban Meyer was probably acting like he had done before go to these college bars in Ohio and Columbus and hang out with his fans, his people. You can't tell me he hasn't done that before in some of his college towns he's coached, because you own these towns. But in the National Football League, it's a completely different animal. You're dealing with different media, different fan base, different backers. There are no alumni backers who give money to the school to help build a locker room so you can win more games. Do you have an owner who has built a business, who is paying you big money? And Shad Khan came from nothing and built this huge business and built enough money to buy the Jaguars. It's like, hey, you want to act like a professional? Because that's just being unprofessional. You're asking your players to be held to a certain standard when they're off the field representing the team. Well, the coach has got to be held to that same standard.
Oh, I know. And my first thing, honestly, when I heard this morning of the apology, I'm like, where does he have the time to be in a nightclub with some young thing gyrating in his lap? He's an NFL head coach, for God's sake.
For a winless team. They're winless. So, I mean, why is he not thinking we have to play Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans next week? How are you going to prevent Derrick Henry from running for 150, 200 yards? That would be on my mind.
I never even thought about that. It looks even worse. From Dar, watching on YouTube, says Jim's column on the website is always excellent. You're the best, Jim. You know I think that. Thanks for this, man. I can't wait till we do it again. Have a great day.
Don't get sunburned, Rod.
Too late. Jim Clubber Lang joining us from Toronto. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.